Hello, 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 beautiful people. How are you guys all doing today? It's a late evening one today for you. Well, not too late, but still later in the evening instead of during the day. We're all over the place. Like I said, I can't make any promises. Not yet. So today, we will talk a little bit on naysayers. Okay, and unfortunately they are not going anywhere. So if you are hopping on and you're wishing and hoping that I'm going to tell you that these naysayers are going to go away and I'm going to give you some kind of a magic tip or trick of how to get rid of them, it's just simply not going to happen because they are here to stay. Okay. Naysayers are simply people that have their own opinion, which of course they are entitled to. And as you guys probably have experienced, they will tell you their opinion no matter what. Okay. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's not necessarily a good thing sometimes. And I know sometimes we don't want to hear it, whether we're having a rough day, week, or we're simply are stubborn. And then there's nothing wrong with being stubborn either. It's just how do we deal with them, right? How do you deal with a naysayer? You simply let them speak. You listen to them. And you know what? Sometimes they do have a point. If you are not comfortable admitting to them being right, you don't have to until you are comfortable with it. But I will tell you from personal experience as well as from what I have learned is that when you have someone who has their opinion, right? A naysayer, someone who just wants to make sure that you get what they're trying to say and listen to them and take their point of view, and it's, listening to them, it does help to let them know that they are right sometimes. And you will notice that at first it might be a little hard. And the reason for that is because we all have an ego. And what's happening in that moment is that you are slowly killing your own ego. And by slowly allowing the naysayers to be part of your life and giving them giving them the response that they want, if they are right, you are actually working on yourself, and you're going to benefit yourself tremendously by letting go of that ego, by slowly diminishing that ego. Because at the end of the day, the reason why there is so much fighting going on, and there's so many wars, if you will, going on, even little wars, is because of the human ego. It is one of the hardest things to work through, and there's one of the hardest things to let go of. But once you do let diminish your ego or bring it to a more manageable level, you will find happiness and you will find more joy, because you're not going to be so easily rattled, right? Because when the ego is hurt, how do you normally feel? How does that feel for you? Or where do you feel that in your body? Because for me, for example, it's in my gut or in my heart. And sometimes it's in both places. And sometimes it's almost like my arms start to tingle and you get a little like angry. And I realize, okay, something is happening here, because body is giving me physical signs. Something is happening here. What is going on? Why is my body reacting this way? What part of me is being affected? And once I realize that it is my ego, I also know that I have a choice of either feeding that ego, or not, or starving it. Right? And we all know what happens when you starve something. It's eventually going to die. And my goal is to starve that ego. So once my ego is triggered, I know and this is where I ask, where does it hurt for you? Where do you feel it on your body? Because once you're aware of what's going on, where it's going on, and how the feeling is, and you get familiar with the feeling, then you also will get familiar of what to do with it, because you'll have your own little approach about it, right? For you, you might not be able to let go of it entirely right away. I mean, I don't, not always. Sometimes you gotta stroke the ego, you gotta feed it, because you gotta decide, is this worth it? Is it not? For the most part, it's not for me, right? So I realized, okay, this is my ego speaking, this is not me. Or I've told you guys a little bit about the gremlin. So gremlin has a little bit of different messaging for me, for all of us, right? So the ego and the gremlin are different, and realizing what's happening, why it's happening, and having the steps of where to go from here is extremely helpful. Because if you know, okay, well, my ego is hurt, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? And if you don't have a direction of where to go, you're simply just going to react. And in most cases, when we react, it doesn't always turn out to be the best kind of a response that we want. So naysayers, they are great in bringing out that conflict within ourselves. So I seek them out once in a while. My phone is actually gonna die really soon, so I'm gonna keep it short. I seek them out, and they actually seek me out once in a while. And this is where, for me, becomes a really great exercise. And I see it as an opportunity for growth, whereas before I saw it as a reason to go and hide, reason to go and escape, and reason to go and cry and whine about it. And sometimes I would really fight on it, right? It depends on what place I am at that given moment. But for the most part, I avoided all kind of conflict, and I'm still not a big fan of conflict, but I have learned how to deal with it, and keeping the ego out of it has helped me tremendously. And I know, especially if you are at work, right? You go to a job, you have a lot of people that you are dealing with or working with, and everybody has their own opinion. Everyone has something to say. Everyone has something to contribute. Everyone thinks that they are, when you say something to them, that you are asking for advice, right? That you need help. But at the end of the day, that's an assumption that you are essentially making, that I am essentially making, that somebody might want advice. So this is where taking a few steps back and actually simply just asking a question. What are you asking here for? Because sometimes they just want to get a sympathy trophy, if you will. Sometimes they do want advice. So asking them, did you want any advice now? Did you want any help? Are you wanting to get some answers? Or is it something that you just want to get a little bit sympathy and understanding on, and get a little bit of like, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, right? So people usually will tell you what they want. If they want your help and advice, then give it to them. Because the best thing you can do is actually ask, and not just offer it. Because what usually happens, and I'm pretty sure you've already experienced it yourself, somebody comes to you and they're complaining and they're whining and they're telling you something is wrong, and you're like, dude, do this, it works. Do they ever do anything about it? Usually they don't, because they don't care for your advice, right? They don't want to hear it. They just want to do what they want to do, and they just wanted to get a sympathy trophy. That's all they really wanted. So just simply asking that as well will ease that inner battle you might have with yourself, right? And then that way you don't have to feel bad or guilty. Oh my God, I told them something and they don't want to do it. And then as for going back to the naysayers, they're always going to be there. You're never really going to escape, because especially when you're trying to build a business, especially when you are trying to do something new, something outside of the box, or you are simply on a different path and people are not understanding it. So because they are scared of it, because they don't understand it, because they're uncomfortable with it, they're going to be negative about it. right? And naysayers are negative people in our life, and we all have them. And why? It's because they're simply not aware of what's going on, right? I know I had a lot of them, and I know I still do, because people don't understand what it is that I do. Even if I try to explain it to them, sometimes they don't understand it, right? And that's because of their ego as well, because they are not hearing it. It's like, well, okay, well, how do you actually do that? How does that work? So taking the time to explain it to them sometimes, that also means my ego is getting involved, and I realize, you know what? No, I'm not gonna get into that, because I don't want to get into the loop of explaining myself and standing up for myself and all that kind of stuff. So I just tell them a little bit that they need to hear, and the rest they can figure out on their own as well. Google is there; they can figure it out. Unless they are asking me the nice type of questions, not being so negative, then I'll go a little bit further with them with that. But anyways, I think that's enough for jibber jabber for today. My phone, like I said, is about to die. We are at 3%, so before before my phone dies, I am going to end this video so I can actually post it on my page, and it gets to be saved and doesn't get lost in translation. So again, thank you very much, all of you guys, for watching and tuning in. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I look forward to hearing what you have to say, and maybe if you want to share a little bit of stories of what has happened, how the naysayers maybe affected you, or what they have said, yeah, stories. I love stories. Anyways, have a great day. My family's waiting for me downstairs. We're gonna play for the first time in like forever together on the Switch, Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna be losing this game because I don't play video games really. I look forward to losing tonight. Have a great day, the rest of you guys, and hopefully none of you are losing tonight like I will be. Okay, bye, and thanks for watching.